We've talked about in the recent past the idea that Dynamite, the way things are going, and the realization that everyone has finally come to, that we were already at a long time ago, it's never going to get better because Tony Khan. They're catching up in ratings to what Rampage and Collision were when we were talking about how low they were a few months ago. AEW Dynamite, Jim, December 4th, 2024, 8 to 10:06 p.m. On average, watched by 586,000 viewers.
Oh, so...
But that's up 9% from last week, which was 536.
And that's what I was saying. So last week, they saw it's the night before Thanksgiving. And then there was the playoffs. And then it was the all-night gas station. What?
Drones.
The drones.
The drones. I have a competition note here from WrestleNomics. Dynamite ranked approximately number 7 for the night in the key demo. 2 college basketball games airing in primetime on ESPN. All 3 hours of Fox News' primetime lineup. And The Challenge on MTV ranked ahead of Dynamite. Let's go to the quarter.
Who challenged who to do what there on MTV?
Well, let's go to the quarter hours, and I will say in advance what I thought would happen based on who they're pushing and what the main event was. That's exactly what fucking happened. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m., compiled by WrestleNomics. Kyle Fletcher versus Shelton Benjamin with picture-in-picture.
Best match of the show.
741,000 viewers.
And that will probably be the high point of the viewing experience.
Quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Fletcher versus Benjamin. The Hook Live promo and his angle with Christian and the Patriarchy. The Mercedes Moné promo. And an ad break.
Boy, that thing went south quick, didn't it?
694,000 viewers.
It could have been worse. That's only 47,000 people, and they normally do worse than that from quarter 1 to quarter 2, so it could have been worse.
Well, here we go. Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The Hurt Syndicate's backstage beatdown. It just says backstage, but that's where they beat up people. The Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal with picture-in-picture ads. And the Jamie Hayter video.
Dynamite Dozen. If talent was dynamite, they couldn't have blown their fucking noses.
617,000 viewers.
Ouch. There goes another 77,000 people, bringing the total from the start of the show in 45 minutes to 124,000 people we've offended.
Quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn's backstage. It just says backstage. It was their promo, and they had an argument. Swerve Strickland versus Max Caster. An ad break. And MJF's bar promo. 569,000 viewers.
Oh, and that's 48,000 more people, bringing the total from that they've lost in the first hour to 100 and God damn, I can't do it. 172,000 people.
Well, we go from there to the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m. Quarter 5, Pac versus Jay White with picture-in-picture ads.
That's the one I thought would fucking break the camel's back.
581,000 viewers.
Okay, so they actually brought 12,000 back, but now that they've done that thing that they've done, I wonder if people have decided, well, now we've seen everything.
We go now to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m., the finish of Pac versus White, the post-match with Jon Moxley, Adam Page, and Orange Cassidy, Jamie Hayter's promo, an ad break, Chris Jericho's promo.
Oh, I forgot about it. He was plugging the Hammerstein Ballroom events in a very cheesy and insincere way.
Yeah, he sucks. And then there was this we didn't even talk about, the Bandito video. Did you see this?
I didn't even...
Where they're on like an old Western set and they're putting up wanted signs for Bandito. The Masked Luchador.
Fuck, I must have thought that was one of the commercials. I just fast-forwarded it.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more where that came from. 585,000 viewers.
Well, they're holding them in there.
Well, we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Mercedes Moné, followed by an ad break.
The people may start fighting harder to get away.
504,000 viewers.
And 81,000 succeeded. So now we are down 237,000 people from the start of the program.
We go now to quarter 8. I remind you we have an 8. I remind you we have a 6-minute overrun. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Mariah May's promo and confrontation with Mina Shirakawa. And Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King with picture-in-picture. This is the one I would have bet on. 440,000 viewers.
Oh, mother of all creatures, big and small.
6-minute overrun, 476,000 viewers. So they picked them up at the end from the all-time low of the show.
Well, the program this week that was scheduled after was Wipeout, where their game show that they do. So did 36,000 people said, I'll watch Wipeout. And boy, did they get it. They watched a Wipeout all right. Ha, 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 Wipeout. 440,000. So they lost officially from the start of regulation to the end of regulation, 301,000 viewers. What is the, Brian? What kind of
God
percentage?
Damn you. Oh, fuck you. Give it to me.
Now, if you take 440 and you put it into 741 and divide it by what percentage of the people did they lose when they started with 741 and ended up with 440? That's like 45%, isn't it?
It is 41%.
Good Lord. Almost half of the people wouldn't stay to the end of a 2-hour program.
Again, the women's match, as much as I talk about how much I like Anna Jay, it's the women's segment. So people are going to not watch into Claudio. You have to be a real dedicated fan to want to sit there and watch a Claudio main event.
But they started the hour with 581,000 people, which was right off of their average. Yeah. And that's, again, if you take the first quarter out, as we mentioned, that to get a real number of their audience, take the first quarter and the overrun out.
We're hearing from more people than we have. I think we used to hear it a little bit, but it's the early days, so I didn't know what to believe and what not to believe. But we're hearing more and more now from people who don't watch AEW. They'll listen to the reviews. They'll keep up with it on a different site. They'll read like what's going on, but they're not watching. And when you read what the lineup is for the show, you can't blame anyone. It's every one of these shows. Tony is hands-on with all of these shows. Look at where Collision is. We always focus on Dynamite. Look at where Collision is, and look at where it was. Not even the debut with Punk. Look at where it was a few weeks later, and look at where it is now. Look at Rampage. Think about where that was, and where it is now.
Rampage was the debut of Punk also.
And they're making a big deal now. They're going to be simulcast on Max. The last thing they want right now is more exposure to this kind of product. It drives their own fans away. And it's brutal on anyone who's not one of their own fans.
Well, but they've done a job on the ones they had. Yes, the Punk thing hurt them because he brought however many eyeballs to their show, and then they ran him off, and then they laughed about it publicly on their television show, basically. So they pissed those people off. They lost the people who were mad at Vince McMahon and his evil empire and the way he cheated and fucked around the wrestlers and whatever. And they lost that because they ain't mad at him anymore. He's gone, and they love the company now. And they lost the when they promised the sports-based presentation, those were lost pretty quick when they found out that it was going to be statistics and numbers that Tony sees in his head at night, but not anything to do with a professional sport in the way that it looked, because Tony's handpicked EVPs, except for Cody, couldn't pull that off.
And, I was just going to say, going back to what Effie said earlier in that thing we played, everything we heard about Tony was his background, that everything in his background was something his dad set him up with.
Well, and this wasn't even something his dad set him up with in terms of, he had booking experience from booking on the internet with his other two friends that he mentioned that always liked his ideas. But it's an example of the one other example I was going to give was every time a big name has come in that excited people and got people to go, oh, wow, the wow factor, within 4 to 6 weeks, they're part of the fucking roster, and or they're less interesting than they were when they came in, and they lose the goodwill of that too. So they run off the talent that brought people. They marginalize the talent that comes in over and then ain't that way very long. They lost the ability to snatch WWE fans because they're not mad at the WWE anymore, and the state of the show, the way it looks over here, they've done the best they could to run off every little segment of 50,000 here, 20,000 or whatever, and now it's added up to a chunk. That's where these people are going.
Another thing you would hear early on when there were ratings issues, not like this. Ratings issue was went under 900,000, like early on. Well, look at the YouTube numbers. Because that is the way a lot of young people consume content. YouTube, TikTok, social media. If you go look, their numbers are like well off what they were. The interest has completely died for AEW.
I mean, goddamn, our YouTube clips do better numbers than Rampage and Collision did this week.
It's not like this wasn't said out loud early on that this was going to be what happened. But those were the ratings, and this is your show.